What's going on, Micro Militia? And today we are once again continuing along this Sleep Token journey. And today we are starting the album Even in Arcadia, and the first song on the album, Look to Windward. Psych! Already reacted to that. It was one of the first songs I heard and reacted to by Sleep Token, so you can go ahead and check that out. It's already on the channel. I'll leave the card up there so you can go ahead and click on that. I don't think I did a lyric review of that because, again, I'm not a lyrical person by nature. I'm more of a musical person. I pay attention heavily to the music. So back then, I didn't know the whole story behind Sleep Token. I didn't know the lore. I didn't know that paying attention to the lyrics was so pertinent to the band. So I don't think I did some deep dive into the lyrics or anything, but I have since looked at the lyrics and kind of see where we're going from here. It's kind of Vessel trying to find himself after the relationship. Maybe even part of him is still with Sleep. There was mention of like, it's not over until I say it's over. There's the edge of the blade. Musically wise, this I don't know, this may be my favorite album of Sleep Token. So far, the last one, Take Me Back to Eden, was by far my favorite of the albums. There were some bangers on there. You already know one of my favorite songs of all time is the Summoning now, so that's going to be hard to top. But today we're going to be doing Emergence. It's the second song off the album. And is he emerging into himself? What is he emerging into after the relationship, or after that kind of closure of that chapter? Musically, I have heard a few songs off this album. You can go again, check those out at the beginning of when we started this journey, before I knew anything about the band. Y'all requested, and I was doing by request, so that's why I have listened to 3 songs off this album already. I've listened to Look to Windward. I've listened to Caramel. Caramel was actually the first song I ever heard by Sleep Token, and that's on the channel as well. So go ahead and check that out. And I have also listened to Gethsemane. Butchered that in the first reaction. Had no idea how to say that, but you guys let me know. It's Gethsemane. So yeah, I've already heard those 3 songs, so it's going to be a little bit of a shorter album reaction, because it only has 10 songs, and I've listened to 3 of them. So we're going to do the remaining 7. And before we hop into it, guys, here with Emergence, if you do enjoy the video, give it a hot thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. And if you are new to the channel, go ahead and check out the rest of the Sleep Token journey. I appreciate y'all once again for being here. And there's only one thing left to do except to hop into it. Musically, I kind of interrupted myself, but musically, I'm really interested because so far, from what I remember, Caramel was probably the heaviest song I've ever heard of Sleep Token. Did the genre switching really work in that song, in my opinion? Yes. The more I wasn't so convinced at the start that the genre combination, I thought maybe it was a bit of a reach, but I've listened to Caramel a lot since then, and I do actually think it works and makes sense, kind of tie it all together. And I'm really interested to see sonically where the rest of these songs are, whether there's a bunch more screaming, whether there's a bunch more hardcore. We're just gonna have to go and hop in to see. Let's go. Interesting chord.
Living on a promised word. Well, I am the rose you relinquished again. You and I are down head first in another world I had. But I have a feeling we're close to the end. So
wow.
come on now. You know that it's time to win
Wow. Okay, before we get too far into this, I kind of wanted to mention the even in Arcadia thing. To my knowledge, Arcadia is kind of like a sort of like Eden as well. It's like a place of I don't know if perfection is the right word, but I do know a little bit of Arcadia just from my love, I guess it's called a love of Greek mythology and sort of that area, that time period, the Spartans, the Arcadians is really what I'm getting at there. Is along with the Spartan allegiance and that whole kind of Persian, the fight between the Persians and the Spartans. The movie 300 referenced it, the Arcadians. The movie 300 kind of made it all about the Spartans, but it was more of an allegiance of that entire section of Greece fighting against the Persians. But yeah, that's how I kind of know a little bit about the lore, the story of Arcadia. And there's even in, of course, Greece, there's a place called Arcadia, and that's the Arcadians, hence the Arcadians, the Spartans fighting together, that whole like mountainous area. So yeah, getting that out of the way. Secondly, recalling Caramel, recalling Look to Windward, recalling Gethsemane, the musicality of that, and so far in Emergence, completely beautiful. It's the most refined I've ever heard Vessel's voice, and that's so good to know that he is progressing as a musician, progressing as a vocalist as time goes on. And I really just wanted to point that out because so far, wow. The tenderness of his voice and his ability to convey his emotion with those really high notes, especially so far in this song. We have those jazzy chords coming in, the very interesting jazzy chords along with his beautiful vocals, which is so beautiful. So beautiful. Let's continue. Very tranquil. He's emerging from that at the end of that relationship. Ooh. Some hopos. Wow, I hate to pause already, but yeah, that's something that this album does too that I remember. It's the genre switching is more heavily in this album. Okay, this is what I was waiting for musically. I'm so glad that we're here. I'm so glad that we're here because what got me into Sleep Token in the first place was Vessel's ability to flip-flop between emotions with genre switching, with the rap, the heavy, the beautiful. And so far in the first two songs on the album, that's what we're getting. And that's what I crave musically. So just touching on the lyrics here, out from underneath who you were. So he's coming out from himself. It's time to emerge. It's time to grow. It's time to be who you are post the trilogy. And then so go ahead and wrap your arms around me as repeated a bunch of times before we get into the rap. Who is he talking to there? Wrap your arms around me. Is he talking to himself? Is he talking to someone else? Not quite sure there. So dark light on my culture, sapphire on my white gold. We're going back to that flip-flop, kind of the dichotomy imagery. And then again, we have a bunch of it. Carbide on my nano, red glass on my light bulb, dark light. Again, he goes back to that. And then we're mentioning fangs. So again, we have the imagery of biting, which the Vessel's done a few times. Midnight in my eyes, drowning out the daylight. Godspeed to my enemies who've been asking for that call sign. You know the behavior. Canines of the savior. That's the teeth. Glory to the legion. Trauma to thy neighbors, or trauma for the neighbors. Is this actually mentioning the Arcadians? Like the Arcadians I was referencing, the Spartans, the Arcadians. Huh, interesting. Let's continue on and see if that question's answered. Nice ride cymbal work. Ooh. Musically, the drums, the way the guitar and drums are on the same rhythm, this musically is very reminiscent of the previous album. Very reminiscent. Almost back to that old style they had in that album. But I can already tell you from the first two songs, well, from the songs I've listened to from this album and this one, the most refined musically they've ever been, which thank God, because it's the progression of artists, and probably going to be my overall favorite musically. I could probably already tell that right now. Take Me Back to Eden had some bangers and some of my favorite songs. You already know The Summoning and all that, but those were kind of outliers within the album. So far, this album is very consistent with the genre fusing and just better musically. Like, they sound like better, more technical musicians in this album so far. So I'm really looking forward to that part, because I am the music guy more than the lyric guy. I mean, there's obviously other reactors that know a lot more about music than I do, but I'm just saying, compared to lyrics, I favor the music side of things. All right, let's get back into it. Come on. Mm. Oh, I forgot about this. They do this happen. I remember that in Caramel. There's like different versions of the where they're at. Let me see if I can pause on it. Crap. There's like a knight preparing for battle, man. That's really cool. Oh, I kind of got a glimpse of it right there. Okay, something you need to know about me. I feel music very heavily. That saxophone solo at the end there literally made me tear up. It literally made me emotional. Slightly embarrassing, but it's like, you know how like a lot of y'all within the Sleep Token community, within the Sleep Token sphere, how you feel the lyrics, you really like relate to them and emotionally, and you could relate, you understand what he's saying and how it relates to you in your life. That's me. And when I say I'm the music guy, I don't mean to sound pompous. I don't mean to sound arrogant. I don't mean to sound like I know everything about music, because once again, there are so many reactors that have a plethora more music knowledge than I do. But I feel music so heavily. That saxophone solo there at the end, what just hit me right. It just hit me right. I mentioned the jazz chords at the beginning on the piano, and then it took it completely jazz there at the end. It went from somewhat rock and rapping over a rock guitar to, at the end, was full jazz. That saxophone solo at the end and the jazz chords from the guitar returned with a sax solo, a sax jazz solo. Oh my God, that's what I'm here for. Yes, that is what I'm here for. This, I can tell you already, I already know this album is going to be my favorite all around album, musically, for sure. 100%, I can almost 100% guarantee it, because of the way they do things like that. That saxophone solo at the end is exactly what I'm hoping for with music, because it has such feeling, it has such depth. That's what has meaning to me. Y'all have the lyrics and how you relate to them. I relate to how musicians can make you feel and tell a story with the music without saying a single word. Music in itself is a language, not the English language, not a spoken language, but a language of just a frequency. That's what I'm here for. Oh my, that was so good. That was such a good song. I enjoyed that way more than I thought I would. Well, not like I didn't think I was going to enjoy it, but wow, yes, I'm hyped. That song just hyped me up. Anyways, enough gushing about the musicality. My goodness. That was, yeah, oh. So yeah, Vessel's moving on. He's kind of starting a new life. And the perspective thing is something here I'm going to have to start wrapping my head around. So tell me what you meant by living your past your half-life in lockstep with the universe, and you're well-versed in the afterlife. And he talks about being sanctified by what's below. So like, he's been in the depths, he's been to hell. That's where he was born. That's where he was like forged. So no matter what you do, no matter where you go, that's his past. And then we're moving on from there. That's where we're starting from. That's our baseline. And now you might be the one to take away the pain and let my mind go quiet, and nothing else is quite the same as how I feel when I'm at your side. Sorry to harp on this again, but is he starting a new drug? Is this a new relationship? Is this the start of a new toxic cycle? Hopefully not. But judging by like the new visuals we have too, it's like a fight. It's like a knight fighting for Arcadia. So what kind of fight are we going on now? And out from underneath who you were. So it's, again, this is him emerging. This is him, maybe this is him fighting out of himself, fighting out of that relationship, trying to find who he is, trying to get back to even in Arcadia. I'm really going to keep that in mind, and how this ties into this new chapter of the story. If you guys want to get some insight on what is to come in the album, go ahead and feel free to leave it down in the comment section below. And thank you once again for tuning in to this video, guys. I'm real. This song just made me super excited to hear the rest of what's in store. We already know Caramel. We already know Gethsemane. Very good songs, and I cannot wait to listen to the remaining 6 songs on the album. And if you guys did enjoy it, again, drop the hot thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Go check out the other songs. I don't know what you're doing, why you started here, if that's the case. But if you want to join me and you're new to this whole Sleep Token, my Sleep Token journey, subscribe. Appreciate y'all for stopping by once again. And as always, guys, at ease, Micro Militia.